Hey, what's up, mortals? It's TheRidge here. And before we get into today's video, there's something I'd like to say. I'd like to let you all know that we have a merch store. Some of the items in it are only available for a limited amount of time. So if you're interested, go to the description and check it out. Each purchase helps us make more content. Secondly, if you didn't know, only 25% of you guys are subscribed to us. So please, hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Hello mortals, in today's deep dive we'll be looking at one of the 4 cardinal heroes of the Rising of the Shield Hero series, Itsuki Kawasumi, or the Bow Hero. Itsuki is a 17-year-old high school student from Japan. He's 155 centimeters, or 5 feet 1 inch tall. He has a blonde bowl cut and green eyes. As the Bow Hero, he wears a white tunic and pants with a brown leather half tunic reaching down to his knees. On his right shoulder, he has a green half cloak, half cape. And on his left shoulder and hip, he has armored pauldrons, fashioned in a pattern of overlapping plates for protection. He wields his bow in his left hand. The bow gives Itsuki several powers. Basics on the Cardinal Heroes should be covered in our Cardinal Hero deep dive, so check that out. As a summary though, each legendary weapon is a paramount to fighting off waves of monsters, and give each user great ability based on the weapon. As the Bow Hero, Itsuki has great accuracy with his bow, able to launch a magic arrow into a ship several hundred to possibly thousands of feet in the air. He also had the skill to strike small, fast-moving targets, such as when he began leveling up at the beginning of the series by shooting arrows at the balloon monsters. Like Naofumi and the other heroes, Itsuki has the ability to absorb the scraps of monsters into his bow, increasing its strength and unlocking more bows and skills. As opposed to Naofumi, however, due to Itsuki being in the good graces of the kingdom of Melty, he is afforded magic gems to learn spells with his bow. His signature spell is his Meteor Shot, a concentrated bolt of magic power that can unleash a devastating explosion on impact. He has several other bow-related abilities, such as scatter arrows, homing arrows, and arrows of different elements. And an ability he shared, however, with the spear and sword heroes, but not the shield hero, was the ability to absorb the information and data of various weapons or gear of the same type as his legendary weapon. This gave his bow several different forms to choose from, and increased the overall power of his bow. Unlike the spear hero, who picked weapons based on a ranking system, and the sword hero, who gained proficiency with different sword forms, Itsuki gained extra abilities and stats based on the weapon's rarity. Naofumi, the shield hero, discovered that all 3 methods were accurate and were based on the user's perceptions, so it's very likely that when given this information and if taken seriously, Itsuki will be able to gain proficiency and rank stats boosts with each of his weapons. Different from his powers gained from the bow, Itsuki comes from a world with supernatural powers called abilities. Unknown to the other heroes and even the people of Melty, Itsuki has a psychic ability known as accuracy, which provides a bonus to accuracy with ranged weapons. The power is considered low rank, however, in his world. This information is from the light novel, and whilst it may be canon to the manga and the anime, it has not been established yet, nor has Itsuki performed feats of archery on an extreme scale yet to demonstrate his ability. Itsuki was a high school student from Japan. He was killed by a speeding truck when on his way to prep school. Instead of dying, he found himself summoned alongside the other 4 heroes. When first introduced, and when the Melty people who summoned them asked them to meet their king, he along with the sword and shield hero demanded compensation for their efforts almost immediately, which was immediately agreed upon. When they met the king and were given knowledge of the waves and the danger, Itsuki remarked that the situation was just like a console game he had played back at home called Dimension Wave, though with some differences. He is dismissive of Naofumi's general lack of knowledge of games and seemingly poor upbringing, and is immediately ready to condemn him when given the narrative that Naofumi had attempted to sexually assault Princess Malty. During his preparation before the first wave, Itsuki and his party did many acts together. Though Itsuki held himself as a mysterious hero and did not reveal his identity to the people as he did his quests. During the first wave, he and the spear hero and the sword hero Ren fought against the first wave's boss, a chimera-type monster. During the celebration afterwards, he and Ren watched as the spear hero challenged the shield hero Naofumi to a duel for the freedom of Raftalia. They had no words against the unfair wager in the duel and watched it impassively. However, when they noticed interference from Malty, they interjected, declaring the duel a sham and Malty a cheater. Though they emphasized the sacredness of the duel over the unfairness of Naofumi's situation, they did not, however, stop the king from having the slave mark removed from Raftalia. though they did both admit that Naofumi and Raphtalia's relationship was not the toxic, abusive one that they were originally told to believe. When it came to the rewards for the first wave, they demanded that the king not shirk Naofumi's rewards, citing again the results of the duel. During this time before the next wave, Itsuki and his party members leave Mellowmark to enter a neighboring nation. In this nation, Itsuki, as an anonymous adventurer, helped overthrow the king of that nation for his harsh taxes. Before we get back into the dive, I'd like to say that in case you guys didn't know, we are only one of the many We the Celestial channels. If you have the sugar tooth for great storytelling, please give our What If channels a visit as well. No matter if it's My Hero Academia What Ifs or Naruto What Ifs, we've got you covered. Did we get your attention? Great. Make sure you click the icon in the top right corner or check the description below for the links for the other channels. Now with that out of the way, let's get back into the dive. Unbeknownst to Itsuki, the kingdom he saved ended up being worse off, with hundreds of refugees starving at the fringe of Mellowmark. Itsuki is seen later complaining with his party members that his reward for adventuring was stolen. He sees Naofumi in the same tavern and immediately accuses him of stealing the credit. Naofumi confronts Itsuki about the truth of his actions and condemns him for hiding his identity. As if he had used his title as bow hero, he could have influenced the kingdom for better without bloodshed. Itsuki is at first shaken by this accusation, but the quick defense of his somewhat frantic party members rouses him up and he redoubles his accusations. During the next wave, Itsuki is seen attacking the ship that appears, stating that in his video game, to let out a monster called the Soul Eater. The heroes must destroy the ship. He condemns the spear and sword heroes for having the wrong ideas about what to do, then enters the ship to confront them about it. He, the spear hero, and the sword hero are wrong about their ideas on how to summon the Soul Eater, and Naofumi and Raphtalia find the creature. Eventually, Itsuki and the others begin to lend support and aid to watch Naofumi, Philo, and Raphtalia deal the final blows to the Soul Eater. The wave does not end to their confusion, and a humanoid enemy woman by the name of Glass arrives. She knocks out the three heroes, ignoring them, to kill Naofumi afterwards. Itsuki confronted Naofumi with the other heroes, demanding to know how Naofumi, despite being unable to rank up, somehow managed to cheat. Naofumi reacts with anger and tells him to watch out for the church. Itsuki and Ren take Naofumi's advice and investigate the church of three heroes. During this, they are attacked by a surprise spell called Judgment, destroying the secret base they were investigating. If not for the intervention of the Queen of Mellowmark's secret agents, they would have died. They rush to aid Naofumi and Motoyasu, the spear hero, to fight against the Pope of the Church of Three Heroes. Whilst there, the Pope condemns each of the heroes for issues Naofumi, the Shield Devil, later had to fix. Itsuki states that the church must have framed Naofumi for Itsuki's lost reward, something Naofumi asserts in a huge leap in logic. Naofumi takes the opportunity to condemn each of the other heroes for their faults, especially for viewing the world they were in as a game instead of reality. Instead of internalizing the criticisms or accepting them, Itsuki began to argue with the other heroes as they tried to blame one or another over who was to blame more for their predicament. Itsuki and his party attempt to kill the Pope individually to no avail. He is then surprised when Naofumi comes to him, asking for their help. Itsuki remarks that he knew all along that the heroes should put their differences aside, and the four work together to defeat the Pope. Their attempt fails to harm the Pope, and Itsuki, along with Ren and Motoyasu, demand that Naofumi use his cheat power. They watch as Naofumi does so at nearly the cost of his life, but show no real concern after the immediate threat of the Pope is gone. When Naofumi recovers, Itsuki, along with Ren and Motoyasu, commend Naofumi. They are then blindsided when the Queen of Mellowmark hosts an impromptu trial, when they discover that Malty had falsely accused Naofumi and had attempted to turn the kingdom against him, as well as her attempt to kill her little sister, the Crown Princess Melty. Motoyasu leaps to Malty's defense, but Itsuki, along with Ren, keeps their silence. Itsuki sits with the three as they watch the execution, and make no moves to stop it. They are, however, pleased by Naofumi's intervention, asking him later to join the festivities. Itsuki has a hotly arrogant personality. He was the first one to speak of compensation when they were summoned, and was the first one to comment on Naofumi's lack of knowledge of the weather of Mellowmark, which he referred to as similar to that of the Mediterranean. When Naofumi was falsely accused, he along with Ren and Motoyasu immediately villainized Naofumi. Though at the least with Ren and Itsuki, it could be assumed that they had simply been duped. However, despite being fooled when the truth is eventually revealed, Itsuki does not think to apologize to Naofumi or to rethink his opinions of the shield hero. And when other accusations he brought forward to Naofumi were put to light, such as blaming Naofumi for the result of Itsuki's botched revolution, he stated that Naofumi was framed by the church, when the only one throwing out accusations at the time was Itsuki. Itsuki seems to sometimes think upon his actions. When Naofumi lets Itsuki know in uncertain terms that the latter's handling of the civil unrest one kingdom over was about as professional and productive as screaming at roses to bloom in the winter, you know, not productive at all. Itsuki seems to internalize Naofumi's valid critiques, yet doubles back on his assertions when his squad mates back him up. From what we can see, Itsuki has turned them into cult-like fanatical yes-men, who likely waffed at his farts like divine wind, and this group's attitude is as unhealthy for Itsuki's mental and emotional maturity as he is to theirs. It remains to be seen on whether or not they eventually form a more cohesive, healthy unit. Following the canon of the light novel, Itsuki believes that as the only hero from a world with physical powers, he is special and above the other heroes. This arrogance can help inform some of his actions, and especially helps explain his reasons for distaste when Naofumi achieves greater power and feats than him. Another issue Itsuki faces, an issue plaguing the other heroes except for Naofumi, is the idea that the world is simply a video game. While that idea is not helped by the fact that the boss monsters of each wave, the general structure of the wave, and waves they gain powers coincide with each of their respective worlds, they use this ideal to make decisions that would seem otherwise stupid. A good example of Itsuki making that blunder is his intervention with the kingdom to the north of Melomark. Common sense would dictate that as a hero or as anyone with any amount of appreciable power to physically cause politically and social change, one would do best to hear both sides and consult inner and outer sources to determine the right course of action. Another example of their declaration is calling Naofumi's shield a cheat. They openly understand and admit that Naofumi had not been allowed to rank up, as they had been able to, and that he was weaker than the rest of the heroes. This did not strike Itsuki or the rest of the heroes as dangerous or bad, even though both Itsuki and Ren had known and acknowledged that Naofumi was integral to the protection of Loot Village and saved multiple lives. This idea that the issues of the remote villages here and there are not integral to the stability of the kingdom would often mean that the heroes themselves are callous and morally bankrupt. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on your opinion, as opposed to maliciousness, Itsuki is simply ignorant of the fact that the world they are in is a reality. Hopefully, as the series continues, his worldview will change for the better, but I'm certain it will take a long, long time. Thank you all for watching this video to the end. Now, there are a few things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, I'd like to let you all know that we have a merch store. Some of the items in it are only available for a limited amount of time, so if you're interested, go into the description and check it out. Each purchase helps us make more content. Secondly, I'd like to thank our $5 and up Patreon supporters for helping to fund these videos. Lastly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank the writer for this video, as well as the audio and video editors for this video. Their details are in the description below. If you're a voice actor, editor, or writer, or you're interested in becoming one of those, go to the Discord that is in the description of the video and hit up the head of one of those areas. We're always looking for members to join us. That's it from us today's video. So thank you all for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're interested, and hit that like button if you liked the video. Until next time, peace out mortals, have an amazing day.